Let's dive into an exciting topic about Africa's future. Imagine a new African federal state, a big dream of many African leaders and thinkers. Now, think about all the different languages spoken in Africa. Which language would be the best fit for this new state? There's one language that everyone's talking about a lot in these discussions. We'll explore why this language is getting so much attention, what part it might play going forward, how it might change, and how all African languages can live together in this new, united Africa. In ancient Africa, the typical black state, especially when composed of multiple peoples, was federal and multilingual. Each ethnic group preserved its language within its territory and had representation in the king's governing council. The royal clan's language often became the central government's administrative language, widely spoken across ethnic nations. This setup allowed for a common language without losing individual ethnic identities. When thinking about a unified language for Africa, it's important to consider why languages like English, French, and Portuguese, often called colonizer languages, might not be the best choice. These languages were introduced to Africa during the colonial period, when European countries controlled many parts of the continent. Using these languages as a unified language for Africa has a few key issues. These languages are closely tied to the history of colonization and the control of African countries by European powers. They represent a painful past of oppression and exploitation. Choosing them as a unified language could be seen as continuing the legacy of colonialism, rather than moving forward. Africa is rich in diverse cultures and languages. Using a European language as a unified language could overshadow Africa's own linguistic heritage. It's important for a unified language to reflect and celebrate African identity and history, rather than that of foreign countries. Choosing an African language as a unified language is a step towards self-determination and independence. It's a way for African nations to assert their identity and autonomy, making decisions based on what's best for Africa, not based on the influence of former colonial powers. So what is the solution? In modern times, having a common language for all black people, like Kiswahili, can enhance communication, strengthen unity, and solidify the federal state, aligning with traditional African state structures. The Swahili language originated in Kenya, from the interaction between the Pokomo and Mijikenda peoples, and spread to Tanzania and the Comoros, shaping the culture of notable kingdoms like Kilwa and Mombasa. Named Swahili by Arabs who called the region Sahel, meaning coast, it blended local and West Asian influences, evident in its vocabulary. Kiswahili, meaning language of the coast, became the neutral, widely adopted second language throughout East Africa and Madagascar. Recognizing its unifying potential, Julius Nyerere, the first president of Tanganyika, later Tanzania, and Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, made Kiswahili an official language. Kiswahili's adoption reflects a return to authentic national culture without imposing cultural imperialism, as it's a native language to only a small population. There's a growing agreement about the importance of Kiswahili since African nations gained independence. This consensus seems set to last. Kiswahili has become the most significant language in the Black world. Trying to rally support for another language would likely be an inefficient use of time. It seems the choice of Kiswahili has already been made. If you are enjoying this video so far, kindly consider subscribing or clicking the like button. It supports our hours of research. Let's continue. The main issue with Kiswahili is its significant Arabic influence, not just in its name, but also in its vocabulary. Linguists estimate that up to 40% of Kiswahili words are of West Asian origin. As Kiswahili becomes a prominent language in the Black world, this heavy foreign influence poses a problem, especially considering the historical tensions between Africans and Arabs. To decolonize and re-Africanize the language, it's suggested that we return to its African roots, particularly drawing from the original languages, Pokomo and Mijikenda. Additionally, there's a need to discover if Kiswahili had an African name before the Arab influence. If such a name exists, it should be revived. If not, the Bantu peoples of the coast should give it a new, authentically African name. Watch out for part 2 of this video on discovering the official language of Africa. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching.